centuries. You don't know where you land. It's so dark in mythology. Treasures of history to be found. Hear the legends of time. All the handiworks remain. Only the dream away. Orion, 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 Orion,
Season 1 ran between the 23rd of November 1963 and the 12th of September 1964. There were 42 episodes spread over 8 stories. The first story was An Unearthly Child, named after the first episode. In the first few years of the show's history, each episode had its own title, a bit like an old-school 40s serial. And years later they had to choose which episode title made for the best overall title for the story. The companions were Susan, allegedly the Doctor's granddaughter, with Ian and Barbara, 2 teachers. The show was designed as semi-educational in nature. One story would feature the team in the past for some thrilling historical adventure. Barbara was a history teacher, and another would have them in the future where some scientific principle would be explained. Ian was a science teacher. Now, the semi-educational angle was mostly jettisoned in the historicals, and thrown down a deep mineshaft onto spikes in the futuristic stories. So don't expect to learn much. Susan is a student at Coal Hill School, and her teachers, Ian and Barbara, think, well, they think she's weird. But who wouldn't? They follow her home one night to a police box in a junkyard and meet the Doctor. Susan had wanted to do some regular schooling, you see. The Doctor's reaction to being discovered is to kidnap Ian and Barbara and send the TARDIS into ancient history. The first episode of An Unearthly Child is amazing. It's the best episode the show has ever produced. It is simply perfect. You couldn't hope for a better setup for the show. It's just amazing that people kept watching after the next 3 weeks. The next 3 parts of this story involve the TARDIS crew interacting with cave people. There's shit about a sacred fire, and there's an asshole called Cal who wants to be king of the dung mountain that everyone lives on. In short, it's crap. Only watch if you really want to. I suggest you go straight from episode 1 to the second story, the Daleks, featuring a little race that you might have heard of. Yeah, the Thals. There are many reasons Doctor Who became the pop culture powerhouse it is. The thing that made damn sure it would be renewed for a second season is right here. The Daleks hit, and they hit big. You think Doctor Who is popular now? Well, it is, but the Daleks were even more popular back in the 60s. How popular? They made movies. 2 of them. With Peter Cushing. They weren't very good. The Daleks is 7 episodes long, and it set the template for a lot of things. The science fiction stories of the show, the Daleks themselves, and more importantly how Terry Nation would try to remake the same story over and over again. Next up is the 2-part Edge of Destruction, a story that's on the shortlist for future classic Twatty Who reviews. It's not bad. It's really not. It's just the explanation for what's going on is mind-bendingly stupid. Everyone's trapped on the TARDIS and shit's fucking up. The clocks are melting, Susan stabs furniture, and the Doctor threatens to throw Ian and Barbara out the door. Nearly literally. And the explanation for why is too stupid for words. So I won't say it. After that we have Marco Polo, the first currently missing story. A little ironic when you remember the kids' game. The TARDIS is damaged and badly needs repairs. It lands in the middle of a snowy wasteland and the crew join up with Marco Polo's caravan on their way to Kublai Khan. The story is 7 parts long and the costumes and sets were some of the best in the show's history. Generally, black and white Classic Who looks better than Classic Who in colour because it hides a fuckload of issues. But based on photos taken during the filming, this one didn't need to be in black and white to look stunning. On top of all that, the writing's almost not very racist at times, and the guy who plays Marco Polo looks a bit like Gerald Harper from Adam Adamant. All in all, a really good start for the pure historicals. The 5th story is The Keys of Marinus, the show's first 6-parter, where the crew are sent on a quest to find the titular Keys of Marinus. Each of them are held in different areas on the planet, and they have to find them so the evil Voord can't. The Voord are the first example of the show trying and failing to find another iconic alien race to put beside the Daleks. Men in wetsuits with things attached to their heads just wasn't a good look, and they never took off. The next story was another historical and one of my favourite William Hartnell adventures, the 4-part The Aztecs, where basically Barbara gets mistaken for a god because white women are amazing and decides to force the Aztecs to stop with the human sacrifice. The Doctor tries to make her keep history as it is until he gets distracted by being accidentally engaged to a woman called Kamika, and everyone tries to no avail to convince this guy that he isn't Richard III.
My voice will be like thunder in the sky. But what is the way? She is too clever.
Then there's the Sensorites, a science fiction story featuring the Sensorites, a race that are so clearly the basis for the Ood that the 10th Doctor mentioned that their homeworlds were in the same solar system.
The Ood sphere. I've been to this solar system before, years ago. Ages. Close to the planet's sense sphere.
It's a trick used in New Who every so often. Choose a classic alien race that has a funky concept but aren't famous enough to have name value, and then remake them. But make sure you point out the similarity to the original alien, because that makes it okay. This is another 6-parter, and it's about a conflict between human astronauts from the future and the telepathic and usually gentle Sensorites. The final story of Season 1 was The Reign of Terror, another 6-parter. It's a William Hartnell historical set in France, so it involves a lot of off-screen killing. It's the height of the French Revolution, the Terror. Robespierre is guillotining any motherfucker he can get his hands on, and the crew get mixed up in machinations involving an English spy. This was the first story to involve location shooting, and the first one where the Doctor actually dressed up to fit in with the time period. Now, some of the story was lost, so it was animated for the DVD release, so that's nice. It's a pity the animation's not very good. That was Season 1 of Doctor Who, a mixed bag, but it set the groundwork for the show that I love, and the show that you probably have heard of. Shit that happened even this far back occasionally impacts the show today, and I'm not talking about big things like the Daleks. For instance, Susan's description of Gallifrey as having trees with silver leaves and an orange sky was quoted almost exactly in the new series.
Oh, it's ages since we've seen our planet. But at night the sky is a burnt orange, and the leaves on the trees are bright silver.
So see you soonish for Season 2, when we'll see giants, lose all 3 companions, and even meet another rogue Time Lord.